I am Andrea Chisholm with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on OneSpotMedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ Live by downloading our OneSpot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the words Spot and Media. The police have intensified their call for more closed-circuit televisions, CCTVs, to assist in crime fighting. Head of the Criminal Investigation Branch, Assistant Commissioner Elan Powell, says CCTVs could assist the police to solve a number of murder cases. This latest call comes on the heels of 3 incidents on Wednesday night in which 11 persons were shot by gunmen in Kingston and St. James. Speaking on RJR's Beyond the Headlines yesterday, Mr. Powell reiterated the advantages of CCTVs across the island.
I think it has been beneficial where it has been properly used and monitored. But what I think, we need more cameras, we need more of those in more areas too. We're going to have to cover Jamaica like London is covered if we're going to see the desired effect. Much more need to be done. We really need more of those along our highways, in more of our town centers. We need those.
CCTVs often capture the faces of individuals and motor vehicle license plates, which can help track criminals. Former Commissioner of Police Carl Williams had proposed a partnership with private entities so that the police can have access to their CCTV systems. The police in West Kingston are suggesting a change in crime-fighting strategies to stem the bloodshed in the division. Senior Superintendent in charge of the division, Howard Chambers, says the strategy used after the May 2010 operation by the security forces in Tivoli Gardens has to be adjusted to match current conditions. The police detained more than 90 persons yesterday for questioning in relation to 2 shooting incidents on Wednesday night which left 3 persons dead and 2 others injured. 2 suspects have also been held. SSP Chambers says the strategy used after 2010 has not created a long-term positive impact.
It's going to take, the various stakeholders to really sit down and brainstorm as to what went wrong. I think, for me, personally, the whole aspect of building, the strategy that was employed then was, pretty much clear, hold and build. The holding was going on for a good time, the containment type of operation, but, building the social factor, the other intervention agents coming in and building and repairing the social disintegration that occurred during that time. I think pretty much the problem right now exists is merely a social problem.
The St. James Police have started to piece together the main reasons behind the latest flare-up of violence in the parish. Deputy Superintendent in charge of operations Gary McKenzie is theorizing that old conflicts have culminated in shootings. The latest was in Providence on Wednesday night where 5 persons were shot. Speaking yesterday on RJR's Beyond the Headlines, DSP McKenzie shared the latest on the incident.
What we have is that we have gangs within the communities, some of whom have been practicing illicit activities, such as scamming, such as gun running, and other things. And what happened is that they have fallout. A number of these persons, they grow up together. Some of them are even extended families, and so they are able to track each other. And they play out their conflicts by using guns. And what is very unfortunate is that at times when we have these multiple shootings, they possibly target 1 or 2 persons among a group of persons. And unfortunately, some other persons are caught in the mix.
7 people were shot, 3 fatally, in downtown Kingston last night in 2 separate incidents. The victims are identified as 11-year-old Taisha Hughes and Richard Allen, both of Fleet Street addresses, and Nicholas Malcolm, otherwise called Thicker Black, of a Wildman Street address. About 10 p.m., Malcolm, a reputed area leader, was standing among persons on Wildman Street when a car with men drove up. The men exited the vehicle and opened fire on Malcolm, hitting him several times. A 12-year-old boy was also shot and injured in the attack. Shortly after the shooting, gunmen launched an attack on Fleet Street in Southside. Investigators theorized that the attack was in reprisal for the shooting death of Malcolm. The driver of a motor car is to be charged for the death of a man following a crash along the Rocky Hill Main Road in St. Elizabeth. The deceased has been identified as 38-year-old Ray Dunkley, a former police officer. It's reported that about 10:30 p.m., Dunkley was crossing the road to check a sound system at a dance when he was hit by a speeding car. He was pronounced dead at hospital.
He was here operating a music, but he's an old-time police and he do big farming, big farming for make his living. Wife and children them. His car was going down very hard and lick him in the middle road.
The driver is now in police custody after attempting to drive away. However, the car was stopped by a police patrol team which was at the dance before the incident. With crime on the increase in Jamaica, the Prime Minister has commended residents of Nain St. Elizabeth for remaining lawful for the most part while Alpart was out of operation.
It is clear to me that the people in this area, though they were faced with significant economic hardship, they found ways to survive that were lawful. I am never one to agree that poverty and economic hardship is an excuse for crime. It may be a reason, but it is not an excuse.
Mr. Holness was speaking recently at a function to mark the resumption of the production of alumina at Alpart in Nain St. Elizabeth.
In the case of Alpart, a bold decision was taken to give a 5-year bauxite levy waiver to facilitate the plant's reopening, with assurances from GISCO that they will, within 3 years of reopening Alpart, build a new 2 million tons per annum alumina plant to complement the existing 1.65 million tons per annum facility.
Students at Arcadia Basic School in St. Thomas are to be relocated to the Arcadia Primary following Wednesday night's fire which destroyed the basic school. Acting Principal of Arcadia Primary, Malvern Galloway, says the students will be housed in the library and resource center. Classes are expected to begin on Monday.
Being a school that is multi-grade and trying to improve the numbers, in January the infant department was added. Basically, we want to continue to strive for that goal, and so we'll be housing the children in the library and also in our resource room until, through Food for the Poor and the donors who had helped us earlier on this year, to get back on track.
According to reports, a man of unsound mind was seen coming from the board structure when the fire started.
When we got on the scene, the fire was already out of control. The electrical current that run to the basic school fell off through the fire, burned it off. So it dropped on the perimeter fence, that fence around the basic school. So the community member couldn't get to go over to the school to save anything from the school compound.
The police rescued him from an angry mob. He remains in custody. The Jamaica Fire Brigade now has 2 command units which will improve its ability to respond to emergencies. The vehicles were donated by the government of Japan. Designed to operate as mobile offices, each unit can accommodate 6 persons and has 4 workstations, 2 bunk beds, as well as kitchen and bathroom facilities. The units are also equipped with a standby generator and air conditioning. Facilities for computers are to be installed. A 3rd unit is scheduled to arrive in the island in December. Operators of haberdasheries across Jamaica will come in for more scrutiny from the Labour Ministry, which says more inspections will be made to ensure they are not underpaying or exploiting their workers. Chairman for the National Minimum Wage Commission, Silvera Castro, told the Montego Bay leg of the minimum wage consultations that haberdasheries were among the worst offenders in paying below the minimum wage. Additionally, the work conditions at these organizations are often described as substandard. He says the ministry will be investigating these claims.
As I speak, I know they will be going after those persons who are underpaying those persons who are employed in the haberdashery and all those other places. They will be sending out persons to inspect their books and check to ensure that they're being paid the minimum wage or above.
Executive member at the Jamaica Employers Federation, Bernita Locke, added that issues with the hotel, security and wholesale sectors would also be addressed.
Issues with are the people who work in the stores, the bartenders, the people who are there working all night long, because perhaps we say 40-hour work week and they don't count nights. So those are the ones that we speak to employers a lot about. The people who are in the catering industries, those are the ones that we want to zero in on.
Jamaica's Ministry of Agriculture is conducting checks in the wake of the announcement that the U.S. has suspended Brazilian meat imports. Several countries banned Brazilian meat in March when prosecutors said health inspectors in the South American country had been taking bribes to approve substandard meat. The U.S. did not impose a ban then. Instead, it introduced checks on all of Brazil's meat imports. It now says a significant proportion of Brazilian meat failed safety tests. When contacted last night, Permanent Secretary in the Agriculture Ministry, Donovan Stanberry, said he was not in a position to comment on the details of the announcement by the U.S. that it has suspended Brazilian meat imports.
Just come to hand. The minister advised me about 10-15 minutes ago. Obviously, we would not have had a chance to assess the situation, but as a ministry, we are responsible enough to do whatever investigation, get a better understanding of the issues, and respond appropriately in due course.
Imposed a ban on Brazilian beef imports in March. The ban was lifted on April 3 after an audit conducted by a team of officials from the Ministries of Agriculture and Health, which visited Brazil, found that the product is safe for consumption. And it's time now for our Fact or Fiction feature. We ask, is this fact or fiction? The city of Kingston, which dominates Jamaica politically, commercially and culturally, became the capital of Jamaica in 1872. And of course, we'll tell you the answer at the end of the sports segment of the newscast. In news overseas, tension is mounting between North Korea and the United States. This follows the death of American college student Otto Warmbier, who was detained in North Korea for 17 months and spent more than a year in a coma. Details from the CNN.
It's a total disgrace what happened to Otto. That should never, ever be allowed to happen.
Pressure is ramping up on the Trump administration to retaliate against North Korea for Warmbier's death.
Was this now a red line incident with North Korea?
Anytime there's a death involving North Korean actions does cross a red line.
A military strike against Kim Jong-un's regime, analysts say, is too dangerous an option. Kim might retaliate by firing his missiles at Seoul, at Japan, or he could attack the 28,000 American troops in South Korea. But a cyber attack on Kim's growing missile program could be an option.
There may be attacks, yes, we can take on missile launchers. There may be attacks we can take on the Command and Control Center to send a signal to North Korea. You will not see the result of that, but Kim Jong-un will.
Experts say hacking the regime's internal calls and emails and putting them out in public is a possible retaliatory move. The U.S. and the UN have economic sanctions already in place against North Korea, targeting luxury goods and imports and exports which help Kim's military. Those could be expanded. But what could hurt North Korea more, analysts believe, is if the U.S. applies so-called secondary sanctions against Kim's chief ally, China.
And in sports, quarter-miler Dominic Blake is now cleared to compete at the National Senior Championships after returning the mile relay bronze she inadvertently received at the 2012 Olympic Games. JOA President Mike Fennell said the medal was returned to the Jamaica Olympic Association's offices Thursday morning.
We are not involved and we have no jurisdiction over the trials. What I can confirm that Ms. Blake has returned the medal which was inadvertently given to her after the London Olympic Games.
And of course, Dominic Blake will take her lane in the heats of the women's 100 meters at the national trials this afternoon. And finally this afternoon, the answer to our fact or fiction feature. We asked, is this fact or fiction? The city of Kingston became the capital of Jamaica in 1872, and it's a fact. In 1872, Kingston was named the capital of Jamaica, formally transferring the title from Spanish Town. As the beginning of the 20th century approached, Kingston was a natural choice to host the 1891 Great Exhibition, which is an international showcase for the island's natural beauty and talent. And with that bit of information, we end the midday news. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Join us at 7 for our primetime news package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, good afternoon and have a great weekend.